All stories are shared with care. To protect privacy, some names and identifying details may be changed when the storyteller prefers to remain anonymous. If you'd like your story to be featured, reach out via our official Instagram page or email us. We would love to hear from you. Everyone sleeps in on Sundays. It's a holiday after all. But what is a Sunday or a Saturday to someone like me who's jobless? To me, they are just names on a calendar. I still wake up early around 7 a.m., put on my headphones and head out for a morning walk. While most people spend their Saturday mornings buried under blankets, I spend mine running. I jog from my home to Toka, music playing in my ears, do a few stretches there, and then head back. Kathmandu roads are quieter on Saturdays, so I take advantage of it. I walk from Baniadar to Jamal, stop by a cafe there for a cup of coffee, and walk back home. By the time I return, it's usually around 8 a.m. And just like that, my morning slips by. Another Saturday came, but this one turned out to be a little different, special even. Like every other weekend, I found myself at the cafe in Jamal, waiting for my coffee. It was the month of Poos, and the chill had started to settle in. I could feel it in my bones that morning. On a whim, I ordered a Surya cigarette to go along with my coffee. Only those who smoke know the strange comfort of a cigarette paired with hot coffee in cold weather. I sat there, cigarette in one hand, phone in the other, headphones on, coffee steaming in front of me. I placed my phone on the table, took a sip of coffee, glanced at the news. Typical. I had assumed it was just me feeling cold, but apparently not. The news confirmed it. Kathmandu had dipped to 0 degrees that morning. I was enjoying the moment, lost in my little world, when suddenly someone snatched the cigarette from my hand. Startled and angry, I turned around. It was a woman. Without a word, she dropped the cigarette into the tray on my table. "What are you doing?" I shouted, unable to hide my irritation. "Don't talk so loudly," she replied calmly. "There are people here who don't like cigarette smoke. If you really want to smoke, go to the smoking zone. This is a non-smoking area. Read that." She pointed to a board on the wall. I hadn't seen the sign, and the waiter hadn't said anything either. Maybe because it was still early and the place wasn't crowded yet. Realizing my mistake, I softened. "I'm sorry, I didn't know," I said, genuinely apologetic. My anger had already faded. "No worries, people make mistakes," she said, then pulled out the chair next to mine and sat down. "So, when did you start smoking?" she asked casually. She spoke to me as if she knew me, and it caught me off guard. "Sorry?" I said, confused. "Why are you looking at me like you've seen a ghost?" It's been a while," I muttered. "I just asked because I hadn't seen you smoke before." "Do you know me?" "Yes, I do." "How?" "Let's just say I know you." "Do I know you?" This time I used Timi instead of Tapai. In Nepali, Tapai is used for elders, strangers, or those who we speak to with formality. Timi is reserved for people our age, younger, or those we are familiar with. "Oh, you just switched from Tapai to Timi." I didn't like saying Tapai. She laughed. "No, you don't know me." She knew me. I didn't know her. A familiar stranger in an unfamiliar story. She was unknown to me, but I was already a chapter in hers. "How do you know me?" I asked. She smiled. "We always know the people we like." "Then what's my name?" "Adarsh." I leaned forward, a bit more curious now. "Tell me, how do you really know me?" She glanced at the mist outside. "It's really cold today, isn't it?" "Yeah," I nodded. "Colder than usual." "Tai, can you bring me a cup of coffee?" she called out. "It's freezing. I really need something warm." Just like that, she had decided to join me for coffee. Mine was nearly finished anyways, and after all that talking, it had already gone cold. "Tai, make that 2 cups, I added, then turned to her. "And now you will tell me how you know me." She rolled her eyes. "Why are you stuck on that one thing?" "It's nothing," I shrugged, grinning. "It's just a pretty girl says she likes me and claims to know me. Naturally, I am a little curious." She laughed. "I don't actually know you. I just saw your name scribbled on your hand. That's how I guessed." I looked down, and sure enough, I had written Adarsh on the back of my hand yesterday while doodling. I'd completely forgotten about it. Then, why did you say you knew me before? I like fooling people, she said with a playful smirk. So, you're saying I'm a fool? No, that's not what I meant. Then what did you mean? Nothing at all, she giggled. I give up. I'm sorry, okay? She added. We sat in silence for a moment. Outside, everything was blurred in white fog. The whole world looked like it was wrapped in a soft hush. Our coffee arrived. I still hadn't asked her name. She took a sip and broke the silence again. Why are you so quiet now? I like being quiet. They say people who don't speak much have bad things hidden in their hearts. Yeah, I smiled faintly. I must be really bad then. What have you done that's so wrong? I don't think it's necessary to tell you. Are you upset that I sat here without asking first? No, it's not that. I'm just like this with everyone. Well, that's okay then, she smiled. So, Mr. Adhikari, what do you do? I blinked. How do you know my caste? I only had my name written. She grinned. You ask too many questions. Anyways, I'm late. I only came here because I had a little work nearby. Where do you live? Oh, straight to the address now. What? If I ask where you live, do you think I'll go eat your house? Who knows, maybe you will. If you don't want to say, you don't have to. Her phone buzzed again. Third time. I'd seen the screen. It was a home calling. She stood up quickly. I'll answer your questions next time, she said, rushing toward the door. I really need to go. She left the cafe just like that. If I'd wanted to, I could have left right behind her, walked home in the same direction, but that would have looked like I was following her, so I stayed, sitting quietly as the steam from my second coffee slowly faded. 15 minutes passed. I checked my watch. 8:23 a.m. Usually, I'd already be home by 8, but today was different. There was still no sun, just a dense, pale fog covering everything. I finally stood up, stepped out, and walked briskly to Ratnabarg. From there, I caught a bus back to Bunyadhar. I put on my headphones and played some music, but my mind was still on her. She had promised to tell me everything the next time we met, but the truth was I had no idea when or where that next time would be. She said she came to the cafe because she had some work nearby that day. Would she come again tomorrow? I didn't know. I had no way to ask. No name, no number, and no connection. I usually only come to Jamal on Saturdays, but the thought of seeing her again lingered like the cold. So, in hope, nothing more and nothing less, I decided I would walk to Jamal again tomorrow. I spent the whole day waiting for tomorrow. It felt like the time itself had slowed down, like the clock was dragging its feet just to tease me. I had never noticed time crawling this way, not even during the dullest lectures back in school or college. That day felt impossibly long. I woke up at 3 a.m. Sleep had completely abandoned me. From that moment until noon, my mind was restless. Circling around her, replaying our short conversation, wondering if she'd show up again. Of course, I couldn't walk to Jamal at 3 a.m., so I spent an hour scrolling aimlessly through Facebook. At 4, I finally stepped outside, unsure if I was early or desperate, or both. Somewhere in my heart, I was almost certain she would come. I don't even remember the walk to Jamal. By the time I looked at my watch, it was 7:03 a.m. I had reached early. Too early. The streets were silent. The cold of Puss had wrapped everything in a heavy hush. Shops were still closed. A few shopkeepers had just begun to yawn and tug open their shutters. The cafe wasn't open yet either, so I stood by the roadside, shifting from foot to foot, listening to the quiet. It was so silent that even a small sound felt exaggerated. Only the occasional vehicle passed like a ghost in the fog. I found myself glancing around, then inward, silently cursing myself for coming all the way to Jamal so early for a girl I didn't even know. Lost in thought, I flinched when a cat meowed close to my feet. The sudden sound startled me, probably because the world around me was still asleep. I took it as a cue to move, to distract myself, so I wandered into Turi Hill for a slow walk. Headphones in, hands in pocket, I paced the edges of Turi Hill, letting the music fill in the spaces she had left behind in my mind. By the time I returned, the sun had barely begun to warm the sky, but most shops had opened. The cafe had too. I went in. Like the day before, I ordered a coffee and a suryo, then another and another. In the cold of pose, I drank 9 cups of coffee and smoked 3 cigarettes between 7 and 8 a.m. But she didn't come. At 8:32, the quiet hope I had nursed all morning began to crumble, and in its place, sadness sat down across from me. Why am I even waiting for someone I don't even know? I thought that as I finished my 10th cup of coffee and finally stood up to walk home, that whole day I couldn't stop thinking about her. Maybe she would come tomorrow, maybe she wouldn't. I had no idea why I felt so drawn to her, a girl I didn't even know. She knew me, but I didn't know her. It didn't make sense. And so I decided I won't go to Jamal tomorrow. But then next Saturday came, like all Saturdays do. And like every other Saturday, I walked to Jamal. I ordered my coffee, just like always. Even though it's cold in Kathmandu during Poosh, we still get sunlight. That day, the sun had risen early. The cold felt a little more bearable. I sat there quietly, sipping coffee and staring out at the dry, empty pond outside the cafe. That's when I heard a voice. Adarshji? It was her. I still didn't know her name, so she was just she to me. When I saw her face, something inside me folded in. Like she had been the one to leave me in suspense all this time, and now here she was, as if nothing had happened. I gave her a small half smile. That's all I could manage. She had been sitting behind me. Now she came closer and told the waiter, "Tai, a cup coffee for me too." But I tried not to react, not to show too much. Then she lightly touched my shoulder for support and sat down next to me. "I kept you in suspense on purpose," she said with a mischievous smile. "I thought maybe that would make you think of me and come looking, but you vanished." I stayed quiet for a moment. "I only come to Jamal on Saturdays," I replied. I didn't tell her that I had come back the very next day. I didn't want her to know how much she'd been on my mind, even though I had. She looked at me, her voice soft. "I came at 10 the next morning to see you. I still come every morning, thinking maybe I was just a little late that day." God, if I had just stayed until 10, I would have seen her, and I'd been mad at her for no reason. So I said quickly, "No, it's not like that. I came the next day too, but I left early since you didn't show up." That part, at least, was true. She frowned. "I don't think so." "I'm serious," I said. "I came because I was so curious about what you were going to say." I leaned in slightly. "Now will you finally tell me how you know me?" She smirked. "Do I really have to?" she teased. "What if I don't?" "Come on, just say it." She paused for a beat and then asked, "Do you know Manisha Didi? She used to live near your old house." "Which one?" I asked. "The one in Banyadar." "Yes, her. Of course I remember. She used to visit our house a lot." She smiled. "I am her little sister." My eyes widened. "Oh, wow. She used to tease me all the time." "That's because she knew I liked you." I stared at her. "And how did you know me?" She smiled faintly. "I think it was the same kind of weather when I first saw you. It was during my winter vacation. You used to walk past our house on your way to college, always at exactly 10:30. Her gaze drifted. "At first, I saw you from the veranda. It was love at first sight," softly, almost to herself. Then quickly looked down, her eyes landing on her coffee as if it could shield her from mine. I couldn't blame her. It was just as well she looked away, those eyes of hers. If I had stared a moment longer, I might have fallen right into them. "And what's your name?" I asked, my voice quieter. "Manisha Didi never told me. She only ever called me her brother-in-law." She gave a sly smile. "Well, who knows? If I had really wanted to, maybe you would have been her brother-in-law by now." She paused for a beat, then added, "I'm Saya." I had no response to anything she said. A sudden silence fell between us. The only sound was the occasional sip of coffee. I didn't even realize when I had started looking at her. My mind was somewhere else, yet my eyes were fixed on her. I jolted back to reality when she suddenly snapped her fingers in front of my face. "Where did you get lost?" she asked, raising an eyebrow. But I wasn't going to let her win that easily. "I got lost in your beauty," I replied without missing a beat. Instead of smiling, she burst into laughter. A full, unexpected laugh that turned heads from nearby tables. People glanced our way, curious. "What?" I asked, grinning. "What's so funny?" She tried to catch her breath. "I didn't know you could talk like that." I smirked. "Why? Do you think I'm not human or something?" She shook her head, smiling. "No, I didn't mean it like that. It's just you always looked like someone who doesn't talk much. Even back then, you barely spoke. And you had that big beard. I was honestly a little scared to talk to you." I chuckled. "I still have that beard. Weren't you scared this time?" "That was a different time," she said confidently. "I'm not the same girl I was 6 years ago. And besides, having a beard is trendy now. Every other boy I see has one. So no, not scared at all." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, you see a lot of boys, do you?" Before she could reply, her phone rang. "Yes." "Okay, yeah, I'm in Jamal. I'm leaving now." "No, I'm alone. I'm not with anyone." She ended the call and set the phone down. I looked at her amused. "Why did you lie? You could have just said you were with me." She shrugged. "If I tell them I'm having coffee with a boy early in the morning, my parents will kill me." I laughed. "Why would they? Manisha Didi already knows me. If you said you were with her future brother-in-law, I'm sure she'd be happy to introduce me properly." She grinned. "Yeah, you know." "Okay, I have to go now. Tomorrow, same time, same place," she said with a smile, then walked away. Like always, I didn't leave with her. I stayed behind for a while, sitting quietly, then finally left the cafe. The next day, we met again. We talked like we always did, and like every time her phone rang, she answered, said she was leaving, and left. I waited a little, then left too. It had become our routine to meet every morning in Jamal, share a cup of coffee, and pretend like it wasn't the highlight of our day. Every day passed the same, calm, comfortable. Then came Saturday. And after that Saturday, it started to feel like Saturdays were the only days that truly surprised me. As usual, we met. As usual, her phone rang, but this time she didn't answer it. I couldn't help but ask, "Why didn't you pick up your phone?" She shrugged lightly. "Because I didn't want to." I smiled. "You're going to get scolded when you get home. Or did you finally tell Manisha Didi that you're out with her brother-in-law?" "No, that call wasn't from home." "Then who was it?" "It was Bishes." "Bishes who?" That would be my boyfriend." It felt like a small sting to the heart. She wasn't mine, not really, but in my heart she already was. Let's put it this way. I had already fallen for those beautiful eyes of hers, and those few words, simple as they were, left an ache I hadn't expected. But I said nothing. "What happened? Why do you look so surprised?" "You are full of surprises today." "Did it bother you?" "Maybe. We've been seeing each other so often lately, it's hard not to feel something." She went quiet for a moment. "When you left for 4 years, I felt that same ache every day. I never said anything, but I had truly loved you." "And you don't anymore?" She looked down, her voice quiet but certain. "In this empty, unwritten life of mine, your name is inked in a way that can't be erased. Maybe that's why, no matter how much I try, I can't remove it. And I don't have the courage to tear out that old page and throw it away." "Then let me write my name on the pages that are still blank," she said faintly. "I think you found the notebook a little too late." It felt like there was a quiet war between us, between what we wanted and what the reality had become. For a while, neither of us said anything. "So, where does Bishesh live?" "He's from our village area, Butwal." "Did your parents choose him?" I was trying to find out if things were already decided, if I still had a chance. "You could say that. Yes, not just a boyfriend, he is my future husband." "So, the marriage is fixed?" they chose him for me. But to let things settle naturally, they gave us a year. That's why I said boyfriend. And has that year passed? Her eyes narrowed slightly, a knowing smile on her lips. Are you trying to see if there's still a chance for you? All I can do is try. If that's what you're hoping for, then no, there's no chance. The year had already passed and the wedding is fixed. When? Mangsi 26th. Okay, then I'll just come straight to the wedding. It was already post 24 today. Will you really come? If you call me, I'll definitely be there. Can you? Do you have the confidence to not drop a single tear? Try me. Oh, so you do know how to talk. Why not? It's the truth. I can say whatever I want. I've known how to talk since I was a kid. I really can't with you, she said, shaking her head with a half smile. If you'd spoken to me back then, you wouldn't have been able to then either. And maybe you wouldn't have fallen for me at all. You only loved me because we never really talked. Your heart was just weighed at that time. Her expression shifted. That's not what I meant. You're misunderstanding me. Then what are you trying to say? Nothing. And? Her gaze lingered on me, more serious now. You can say whatever you want, but don't question my feelings. Yes, maybe I was naive back then, and yes, I still fell for you. But even after spending time with you now, after talking to you, I'm still in love with you. Are you saying you still love me? Her voice softened. I have already told you. Your name is written in my life like it's been inked there permanently. Even if I wanted to erase it, I couldn't. And like you said, I also wanted to fill the rest of those pages with your name. But now, those pages are already filled with wishes. I can't let you belong to someone else now. You can. Only I know what it's taken to hold myself together since meeting you again. Then why are you trying so hard? Because I have to. Why? What's stopping you? She looked away. If it were just about me and wishes, maybe I could have made a different choice. But now our parents are involved. So just because of them, you'll convince your heart to forget the man you truly loved? Bishes isn't a bad person. Did I say he was? Then what are you saying? She cut me off before I could finish. Maybe she was getting upset. Nothing. If you can forget me through him, maybe that's for the best. Only time will tell. It hasn't been that long since we reconnected, but it feels like real love. I can't forget you. I know I never will. Her voice was calm, but her words held weight. This is how it feels for you. And we've only just started talking again now. Imagine how it's been for me. I have waited 4 years for you. And after you moved away from Banyathar, I still held on. I waited another 2 years hoping, just hoping. And then slowly that hope faded. If only you had talked to me back then, we might have been together today. Let's not go back to the past now. It's only been, 10-15 days since we met again? You'll forget me soon enough. Maybe this is just attraction for you. No. I know what attraction feels like, and this isn't that. She didn't reply. Her eyes met mine, quiet but full of meaning. She didn't have to say a word. Those eyes said everything. I could feel it. She loved me too. Maybe she just didn't want to admit it. Maybe she wanted to talk a little longer to hold on to this moment. You say you're pushing me away, but your eyes, they've already accepted me. It's not that I am rejecting you. It's just fate hasn't been kind to us. Then forget fate. Leave everything and come with me. I can't. I would be betraying my family's trust and their respect. I can't do that. There's still a month left. Take me home with you. I'll talk to them. Maybe your parents will change their mind. Maybe I can win them over. There has to be someone who'll understand our love. There was silence. Only our eyes spoke. Hers were turning moist, as if she was holding back tears caught between her heart and her mind. I could almost see the battle inside her reflected in those trembling eyes. She reached into her bag, and for a moment, I thought she was taking out her handkerchief to wipe her tears. I wanted to hand her mine, wipe those tears myself, but I never carried one. Instead, she pulled out an envelope. It wasn't a handkerchief, it was her wedding invitation card. Freshly printed, still crisp. Here, this is my wedding card. Everything's been finalized. We can't change anything now. I took the card silently. Words wouldn't come out. There was nothing I could say, nothing I could do. I couldn't even open it. I just didn't have the courage. My phone started ringing. It was a call from home. I glanced at my watch. It was already 9:40. Where are you? I am in Jammu. I met a friend, so I got a bit late. Oh, okay, come home soon. All right. I hung up and slipped the phone back into my pocket. You could have told me you were with me. You are my friend. That's true. There was a brief pause. The air between us felt heavy, like both of us wanted to say something more but didn't know how. Okay, then I should go. Will you come tomorrow? I'm not sure. You? Me too. I don't know. I had already stepped out of the cafe. There was no reason for me to stay any longer. Staying would have only hurt me. Her wedding card was still in my hand. My mind was full, heavy with thoughts I didn't even realize when I reached Ratna Park. I got on a bus, still lost in my thought. My head felt like it was about to burst, so I decided to listen to some music. I reached into my bag for my earphones. Oh no, I left them in the cafe. A day without music felt unbearable. I quickly asked the driver to stop the bus and got off. I hurried back to the cafe and went straight to the table where we'd been sitting, but the earphones weren't there. Shit, I muttered under my breath. Then it hit me. Saya was still there after I left. Maybe she picked them up for me. But where was she now? Hello, Tai? I asked the waiter. The girl who was sitting with me, where did she go? He looked up. You mean Saya? Yes. She just left a few minutes ago. She shouldn't be far. I rushed outside, scanning the street, and then I saw her standing on the Jamal overhead bridge. Saya, I called out. She didn't hear me. She started walking toward Shore. I ran after her. I don't even know why. I just wanted to follow her. Maybe I wanted to know if she had really come there just to meet me, or if there was something else she hadn't told me. Then it struck me. Even the cafe worker had recognized Saya. Maybe she really did have some other work to do, and meeting me was just something she did in between. Maybe I wasn't that important after all. Still, I started following her, not because I had any bad intentions. I just wanted to know where she lived. I'd already fallen in love with her, and people do strange things when they are in love. For me, this was just walking behind her, nothing more. I kept my distance, making sure she didn't notice me. We had already reached Shore, and she was still walking. My phone kept ringing, calls from home. I was torn between going back and continuing to follow her. Finally, I picked up and said, I'm still waiting for the bus, and hung up. Then I started following her again. She turned towards Tamil. Maybe she was just heading home. A few turns later, she entered a narrow alley. And after walking in for a while, she went inside a red house. So that was it. She was home. My little journey for the day ended there. But something about that house caught my attention. It looked like it belonged to someone important. There were 6 or 7 people standing outside and more going in and out. It didn't seem like an ordinary home. I walked over to a pan shop nearby and asked, Dai, whose house is that red one? I don't know whose house that is, Pai, the man at the pan shop said, but that's a prostitution house. It felt like someone had pushed me off a cliff. My heart skipped a beat. I was frozen for a moment, staring at him, not believing what I'd just heard. Not every girl who goes to such a place is a prostitute, right? I quickly asked, Tai, do girls ever go there for some other work? He looked at me and shook his head. I don't know, bro. I've never heard of that. Everyone who goes there goes for the same reason. And besides, girls don't even walk into that alley, let alone enter that house. In Nepal, this was illegal. But that didn't matter to me right then. I was more worried about Saya than the law. A storm of thoughts started spinning in my head. Saya, such a beautiful girl, decent girl. Could she really be involved in something like this? Her marriage was already fixed. Why would she do this? Does Bishesh know about this? What reason could she possibly have? I couldn't make sense of any of it. maybe that man was lying, but why would he lie to me? And the cafe worker, he knew her too. How did he know her? What if... No, I didn't want to think that way. My phone rang again. Home. I didn't pick up at first, but I knew my mom would be angry, so I finally decided to head back. I told myself I'd go to the cafe tomorrow and ask that worker. I needed answers. So many questions kept flooding my mind. I didn't even know if Saya would come tomorrow. She'd given a vague answer just like I had. Maybe she wouldn't come, or maybe she would. She still had my headphones after all. Her wedding card was still in my hand. I looked at it again, this time ready to open it. The first thing I saw were the names Bishesh Bhandari and Saya Thapa. I realized I never even knew her last name. The wedding date was Mangsir 26, and then it hit me. Today was post 24. How could I have been so stupid? Back at the cafe, I thought Mangsir came after Poos. The wedding wasn't in a month. It was almost a year away. But then, who prints a wedding card a whole year in advance? Then I started questioning myself. Did Saya lie to me about the wedding? Maybe she really was involved in that life and that's why she didn't want to get close to me. Or maybe that wedding card wasn't even hers. It could have belonged to someone else. The more I thought about it, the more uneasy I felt. My mind wouldn't stop racing. I started to feel scared, like I was about to discover something I didn't want to know. I reached home with all the questions still running through my head. That night was unbearable. I just wanted it to end somehow. I couldn't sleep. No matter how much I tried, my mind kept circling back to her face, her voice, her eyes. When morning came, I was exhausted. My body wanted to rest, but my heart wanted to see her again. So I left home at 4:30, even before sunrise. Without my headphones, the entire walk was quiet. Too quiet. It was just me and my thoughts of Saya all the way to Jamal. By the time I reached the cafe, it was around 5:40. The place had just opened and one of the workers was cleaning the tables. I stood outside for a while, trying to gather myself. At around 6:20, after the cleaning was done, I went inside and looked for the worker who had recognized Saya yesterday, but he wasn't there. I asked the man who was cleaning earlier, describing the one I was looking for. "Oh, Suman," he said. "He won't come today. He took a leave for a week or two. Went back to his village yesterday." One way I could have found my answers had just closed. Now only Saya could tell me the truth. I ordered a cup of coffee and sat at the table, waiting. Since not all the workers had arrived yet, my coffee took a while to come. Slowly, the cafe started to fill with people. The morning rush beginning. I didn't touch my phone that day. I just sat there, eyes fixed on the door. Sometimes I even took my coffee outside, pretending to enjoy the morning air, but really just watching, waiting. She finally arrived around 7:30. She walked in quietly and sat beside me. My heart was pounding, but I couldn't say anything. The questions I had weren't the kind you could just ask out of nowhere. I didn't even know how to begin. Then she reached into her bag and pulled something out. "Here, take this. You left this here yesterday." It was my headphone. "Oh, thank you. You're thanking me for something this small?" "I actually came here yesterday to get it," I said softly. "Oh, then maybe I shouldn't have taken it." "No, it's not like that." I paused for a moment, then finally asked, "And what's your full name, Saya?" "I told you last time. I'm Saya." "No, I mean your full name," I said with a small laugh, trying to sound casual so she wouldn't get suspicious. "There's nothing that can happen between us. What are you trying to match our caste or something?" she said, laughing. "Why is it wrong to know the full name of a friend?" "No, I didn't mean it that way. I'm Saya. Saya Upriti." And there it was. The lie. She didn't even remember that she had already given me her wedding card. That's why she was speaking so casually. This time, I knew she was telling the truth, and that only confirmed her earlier lies. But strangely, I didn't feel relieved. If anything, it made me feel worse. I began to wonder, was she really involved? But the card had said Saya Thapa on it. And why would you print a wedding card a year in advance? Her expression changed instantly. She froze for a second, startled. It was clear she remembered the card now. I didn't like the look on her face, but I needed to hear the truth. So I stayed silent, waiting. After a long pause, she finally smiled faintly and said, "I lied to you. I just wanted to see what you'd say." "Any reasons to lie to me?" "No reasons, really. You said you loved me, and I had my friend's card with me. We share the same first name, so I just wanted to see your reactions when you thought I was getting married." There was no truth in what she said. Yet, maybe because I wanted it to be true, I found myself smiling along with her. "To get my headphones back from you, I followed you for a while yesterday. I was inching closer to the questions I needed answers to, but she was slowly trying to avoid them." "Up to where did you follow me?" she asked, startled. "Tamil." After that, I said nothing more. She was silent too. My mind was made up. She really was a prostitute. "Why aren't you saying anything?" I can't find the words." "I'll ask you some questions. Will you answer me truthfully?" "Yes, go ahead." I could tell she knew she couldn't escape now. She had already felt that I had seen her entering that house. Maybe that's why she was ready to speak the truth. Her eyes were cast downwards, full of guilt and resignation. I felt sorry for asking, but I needed to know. "Who are you?" "A prostitute." I had suspected it before, but hearing it directly from her hit me like a physical blow. I felt like a fish ripped out of water, stunned, gasping, struggling to process what I had just heard. And all these conversations with me, all these days, everything was a lie. "What about the love you said you had for me?" "That was the only truth I ever had for you." The only lies were the things I said about myself, about my profession, about the marriage. "Was there any reason you chose that path?" "To feed myself, to have clothes to wear, to have a roof over my head." "Your family?" "What about your family?" "There's no one." "What about the phone you were using when you were with me?" "That was from Tamil." "And Manisha Didi?" "She's the same Didi you used to live next to in Baniatar. She treated me like her little sister." "Then why did you lie to me?" "Have you ever heard a prostitute tell anyone who she really is?" Her words cut deep. There was no anger in her tone, only tired honesty. "How long has it been since you started working in that line?" "Since the day I became a legal adult. A year after that, I entered this world." "How did you end up there?" She looked down, her fingers trembling as they traced the edge of the coffee cup. Her lips parted slightly as if the story she'd been hiding for years was finally ready to break free. "It was Poos. That evening, I was sleeping outside in that Tamil alley, facing the cold. An old lady came and woke me up. She took me to her home, gave me food, clothes, and made me sleep in the room outside. For a moment, I thought maybe even in Kathmandu there was a god who cared, but from the very next day, her voice broke. I heard a quiet sob. She hadn't raised her head, so I couldn't tell if she was crying or not. A tear fell onto that table. She pressed both hands against her face, trying to wipe it away. Her voice came out choked and trembling. "That lady, she was the owner of that place. She said it was the only way I could survive. At that time, my situation didn't even let me think about what was right or wrong." I felt a stab of guilt. I shouldn't have asked her to recount this. She crossed her arms, hugging herself tightly against the cold. But it wasn't just cold she was shielding herself from. It felt like she longed for a hug, to cry her heart out in someone's arm. I had the courage to ask, but not the courage to move closer, to sit beside her, to hold her and console her. Shame on me. I stayed still, silently watching her, feeling every ounce of her pain without being able to touch it. I asked her why she had lied about her marriage being fixed. She looked down, her fingers nervously tracing the edge of her cup. "Because I saw that you had started to love me," she admitted softly. I felt my chest tighten. Did she really love me too? "You love me as well, don't you?" I whispered, leaning closer. Her lips trembled and a shadow crossed her eyes. That's what I feared. Even if we both loved each other, I was terrified that once you knew who I really was, you wouldn't accept me. I had to keep you in the dark. I shook my head slightly, trying to understand, but you didn't think I would figure it out, even though we met like this every day? She gave a small, sad smile. It was your love that always brought me here. I hadn't thought about anything else. Everything happened so suddenly. Meeting you, falling for you, everything. I swallowed hard. What if I told you I would accept you? She looked up at me, a mix of fear and hope in her eyes. You're saying that in the heat of the moment. You are not thinking it through. I am thinking, I said firmly. I know exactly what I'm saying. I will accept you, but you have to leave that work behind. Her eyes flickered with uncertainty. Can you support for both of us? I took a deep breath. I was jobless until yesterday, but I'll start looking for a proper job next month. I can work for both of us. Her gaze fell and she whispered, "Will your family accept me too?" "If I accept you," I said, "my family will too." "But what if they find out about my past, about what I've done?" she asked, her voice trembling. "We'll say you work somewhere else," I replied, trying to convince myself as much as her. Even as the words left my mouth, a strange discomfort crept over me. Knowing her past made me wonder how my family would react. Somehow it made me feel like I cared a little less for her, though I couldn't explain why. Her voice broke through my thoughts. Why? Why can't we just tell them the truth?" I stayed silent, staring at her, caught between love, reality, and the fear of everything that could come after. "You know how our society thinks about that kind of job," I said quietly. She didn't flinch. Her voice was calm but heavy with truth. "I did that because I had no choice. If anyone asks, I'll tell them the truth. I have no intention of being someone's lie. And if people are going to find out anyway, I'd rather they hear it from me than see your house fall apart because of it." Silence filled the space between us. Not just the absence of words, but a deep, suffocating silence that neither of us wanted to break. I stared at the table, tracing the rim of my cup, not knowing what to say next, or if saying anything would even help. After a while, she spoke again, her voice softer now. "You used to stay near where I lived. I'm pretty sure your family knows about me already. Only you didn't care enough to notice." Her words stung and I looked up sharply. "How could you be so sure?" She gave a faint, bitter smile. "You have no idea how difficult it is to live in the society once you've been part of that profession. People don't forget. They don't forgive. You become a name people whisper about, even if you're standing right in front of them." She continued, her voice low but intense, carrying years of pain. "No one chooses to be a prostitute," she said. "If people knew the stories of the girls working there, they'd cry. But who listens to a prostitute? Everyone looks at us with disgust. Even after we leave that life, even if we want to live normally, society doesn't let us. We still have to endure curses at least 2 or 3 times a day from the same respected men who enter our houses at night. It's the same people who condemn us in daylight. It's not that I didn't try to live a normal life. I did, but I couldn't. Things move so fast these days because of the internet. One video leaks and everyone knows." Her words poured out like a river, raw and unfiltered, but somehow they didn't reach me. I felt distant, overwhelmed, and needed a moment to process everything. Wait a moment," I said, my voice quieter than usual. "I need to use the washroom." Inside, I leaned against the wall, closing my eyes. I needed time to think, to breathe, to sort through the whirlwind of feelings and questions that her story had stirred inside me. Since my family already knew, there was no way I could move this forward. I had told her I would accept her, yet my heart whispered something different. Why? I had accepted her before, so why did it feel heavier now? Perhaps it was because she was a prostitute. I was a man raised in a society that judged blindly. She hadn't done anything out of malice. She had only wanted to survive. Maybe one day she would leave that work and then I could work even harder to convince my family. She deserved a normal life. That much was clear. Thinking this, a small part of me felt relief, yet another part ached. When I looked around, the table where I had been sitting was empty. I searched the cafe, scanning every corner, but Saya was nowhere. I stepped outside, hoping to catch a glimpse of her, but the streets were empty too. I looked as far as my eyes could reach, yet she had vanished. Perhaps my silence, my inability to reach out, had pushed her away. I returned inside defeated, and that's when I noticed a small slip of paper lying beneath my phone. My heart sank as I picked it up. "Best of luck for your future," it read. She had already gone. I had said I didn't care, but my behavior had betrayed me. Maybe that was why she left. Strangely, I didn't feel sad. I didn't know why. Perhaps it was because she was a prostitute and my heart had already built walls around her. I went straight home. For 4 or 5 days, she lingered in my thoughts, but as work began to consume me, I gradually forgot her. Sometimes, passing by that cafe, her image would flicker in my mind, but it didn't matter much. Then, today, 4 years after we had met, 2 months after my own marriage, she returned, not in person, but in a voice that made everything come rushing back. It was Magh month, early in the morning when my phone rang. "Hello? Hello?" Her voice came softly, unmistakable. "How are you?" I froze. "Who is this?" "Saya," she said. I had thought I had forgotten her, but the moment I heard her name, every memory, every smile, every word, and every tear came back in an instant. "Where have you been?" I asked, my voice barely steady. "I was in my own world," she replied. Then, as if sharing a quiet blessing, "Congratulations on your married life." Even after all these years, she remembered me. Even from miles away, she had carried me in her heart. "How did you get my number?" I asked. "At our last meeting," she said softly. "When you went to the washroom, I called my cell phone from your phone." I swallowed. "Why were you so late to call me?" "I dialed your number so many times, but I couldn't get through," she replied. I nodded silently. I had no questions. Maybe I didn't care enough today. I had tried to accept her reality, to reconcile her past with the love she had shown me. But perhaps I had been selfish too. That silence, that distance was partly mine. And then, as if piercing through the years, she said, "I love you and I miss you a lot." The line went dead before I could respond. I tried calling back, but her phone was already switched off. The pages of our story had been written, every chapter chronicling her and me, yet the story itself remained unfinished. One of those rare tales that would never truly find an ending. She could call me whenever she wanted, but I could not reach her. Her phone was always off, a quiet barrier between us. We knew each other, yet I couldn't reach her when I longed to, and when she reached out, I could barely recognize the voice I had once cherished. She was unknown to me, but I was already a chapter in hers, unknown her and known me.